It is another week in MLB the Show, which means we have another Tier List Tuesday on a Wednesday. All the new content that we got in the Field of Dreams program and see how they all stand against each other so you know which cards you should be using on your MLB the Show 22 teams. I've been doing a lot of moving and setting things up the last few days, so apologies on the inconsistent uploads and streams. However, I am getting going again today. That's how you see the camera is back. We're back 100% at the grind again. So let's hop on into it. So here is our catcher tier list. I want to go through this again. These are my opinions, my experiences, and how I recommend cards for a World Series push in ranked seasons. I'm judging cards for a Hall of Fame push, basically, to get you the World Series on the upper end of ranked seasons. I think that's the best part, to be super critical. You're playing on All-Star difficulty. Basically, a lot of cards are going to be very usable and good. If you're on Legend difficulty, you have to be even more particular. I like to judge players for a Hall of Fame push. Also, if you happen to agree or disagree with my takes, let me know in the comments what you think. I love discussing in the comments and seeing what you guys have to say about the players that I rate. And remember, D tier is kind of like the ones you should maybe not be using. Your C and B tier are your beginner or bench bat type players. Your A tier are definitely the step below the best of the best. However, you could definitely use them if you have high parallels and really like them still at this point in the game. And the S and S plus tier are definitely the best of the best. Only difference between that is that S plus are the ones I would be personally choosing. Anyone in the S tier I think is more than viable at this current state of the game. And as you see with our catcher tier list here, there's really not much change except for the new 99 Yadier Molina. I'm gonna put him right in the middle of S tier. I used him a bit, and he does seem good. He seems a little bit better than I would have personally expected. If you like the high defensive rating catcher, he would probably be your go-to guy. Thing is, he's a little low in the power, and he's a little slow. It's something worth noting. However, he's definitely a viable catcher at this point in the game. However, I think Mike Napoli, Diego Cartaya are the best well-rounded hitters, and it's definitely worth giving them a go on Hall of Fame. But Joe Mauer is definitely very great still as well if you want the lefty. Now we look at first base and you see first base is way more stacked of a position. You look in the lower part of the tier list and I have some solid hitters like Adrian Gonzalez in the B tier. This is such a super good hitting position. I really look for elite hitting at first base, so I get very critical on the offensive attributes here, and especially don't care about defense as much. I want elite big power hitting at first base. So I even have guys like Goldschmidt, Pujols, and Alonso in the A tier just because they are slightly lacking in one of their main hitting attributes. But in our S tier, I have the well-rounded top tier hitters that really are good versus both sides. David Ortiz and Frank Thomas, I think, are the big two. If you have both of them, they are definitely the guys to use at first. If you don't, or maybe you don't love them, you could try someone like Babe or Carpenter or Riley, or slide George Brett over there. There's a lot of options. I do have Jackie in the S tier, but I don't really recommend using him at first base if you have him. You only use him there if you really have another player you like at second base. And, you know, if you like Joey Votto, you could definitely be more than viable over there too. I had fun debuting him. Now we go to second base, and I think second base is a good avenue to get some speed. You get away with the higher contact type player. I think it's a good avenue to get that type of player in your lineup. So I like getting a solid defender, good speed, higher contact, maybe slightly lower power. So I have an even type of lineup. So Jackie Robinson is the perfect one for that. The new Brian Roberts is also great for that if you want to switch hitter, and his power is actually very underrated too. Anthony Volpe is great as a BR award as well if you want to play him at second base. But you have a lot of options at second base at this point in the game. You can still go with the good old switch hitter like Cattell, Escobar, or Jorge Polanco. They're definitely more than viable still. I think you just go for Brian Roberts for the good old 30K stub price point if you want that switch hitter type at second base. He seems like a perfect fit there. Now we slide over to third base, and the depth of this position is a lot deeper, but again, I treat it like a second first base. I want really good hitting here whenever I can get it. So I think the go-to guys are definitely George Brett and Austin Riley. If you have not gotten Riley yet, you do have other options, like you could slide Matt Carpenter there, get the new headliner Jordan Walker if you want him there, slide O'Neal Cruz there. You have a good amount of options, and even though I suggest some shortstops and secondaries here, this is really a good avenue to get power. So if I were to go for anyone, I'd be going for George Brett or Riley. And if you don't want to use one of them, go for someone like a Matt Carpenter who's got really good power. Now we go over to shortstop, and at this point in the game, it's starting to get a little bit deeper as a position, but it's still a position where we don't have many options, unfortunately. So that S plus tier, you have a wide range of players to use. I have loved Dansby Swanson so far. He's been very fun, even though he's only a 97 overall. The high contact has been fun. He's been hitting for great power, and especially once he got to like parallel 3, he started to hit nukes for me. So I'm going to keep him there for now. If I'm back in Hall of Fame, I think O'Neal Cruz is a super good option there still. Get a lefty in the lineup, good power, get some speed. Should be a very fun card. Or if you don't love the contact, you may want to consider someone like Volpe. He's got better contact, or someone like Dansby. But there's definitely no one right answer at shortstop right now. It's about finding what you do best with and which one of these 5 that you probably like the most. And now we move to our outfield, and this is where we have a little bit of controversy with some of our new content. This is a big tier list, so this is the lower half, the D to the A, and you'll see a little bit of someone at the top of the A tier there. I have Mike Trout down in the A tier. I think at this point in the game, there isn't that much benefit to using Mike Trout. His contact is a little bit low versus the one side. And at this point, it's going to kind of start to hurt you. I don't know if he's worth using still. However, you know, if you like Mike Trout and you play on like all-star difficulty, that card could be great. And he definitely could still be viable in Hall of Fame. What I would suggest doing is finding a combination of what works best for you. If you can get like a high-speed center fielder and get some really good hitting corner outfielders, maybe only one really good hitting corner outfielder, maybe you want to go for 2, a Cedric Mullins in center field, and then rock someone like a Stanton in right or left to give you some extra range in center field. And I would recommend having a balanced outfield if you can get it, with solid enough defense, solid enough speed, and hopefully really good hitting, especially in the corner outfield. But my outfield right now, I think McCutchen is the guy to use in center field, of course. And then you probably would want to get Juan Soto in right field, and then throw someone like an Austin Riley in left field if you're using someone like George Bray. I needed Riley in my lineup, so I've been using him in left. He's been a more than fine corner outfielder. And yes, I do have Ken Griffey Jr. in the S tier, but he's on the very back end of the S tier because his contact versus left is very low. It's not unusable on Hall of Fame, but you start to get to that point, that barrier of being unusable. If you want someone that's a hitter like Griffey, you should just go for the World Series award Cody Bellinger, I would say. That would probably be a better option for you, because he actually brings better contact to the table. But yeah, the thing that's interesting with the outfield is there's a lot of options, and you got to find a combination of 3 that you do best with. And in that S tier, you see there are a lot of very viable options because they're well-rounded hitting. They bring good enough hitting with good defense. You got to find one that works the best for you. Let me know in the comments the 3 outfielders that you are rocking on your team right now. So to our starting pitching, I think Randy, Nolan Ryan are elite. I think Grayson Rodriguez now joins the fray as a super top tier starter. I think Al Leiter and Mike Messina are great, especially on that Hall of Fame level if you are someone who loves the control. Zach Greinke, I've had a lot of fun with. He's definitely a viable starter. Normally, Zach Greinke cards are kind of but this 99 Greinke got some good love, so I would recommend him. If you're on Hall of Fame, you probably want to emphasize the velocity more. Someone like Corbin Burns, Bobby Miller, Yuri Perez, Sandy Alcantara. The guys who throw very hard in a well-rounded pitch mix are definitely very solid on a World Series push. Guys like Espino and Bob Feller have great velocity, but lackluster control. So I don't know if that trade-off is 100% worth it for everyone. If you're going to go for the super high velo guys, Randy, Nolan, Grayson definitely bring good velocity and good enough control on those pitches. But again, this just comes down to personal preference and the type of pitchers you enjoy pitching with. And your A tier will likely be your back end of the rotation pitchers. So guys like Lodolo, Castillo, Shohei are very viable 3, 4, 5 starting pitchers if you don't have much depth in that rotation yet. And now we head to the relievers. And literally nothing has changed since last time. There are a lot of relievers in this current state of the game, but there aren't enough really, really good ones yet. I think we'll start to get to that point in the game where you see a really good Chapman, a really good Kenley, a really good Goose Gossage soon, Mariano Rivera. I think we're going to start seeing those big names sprinkled in. The relievers are definitely a little bit behind our other positions because there aren't that many high overalls. So, you know, you're more than fine to rock someone like a Devin Williams and all of that. And this is why I suggest to you, if you're someone who's on a World Series push, anytime you are rocking a good start with a good starter, keep that momentum whenever you can and keep that pitcher in the game. because the relief pitching is, and we will wrap this up by looking at my God Squad. This team is a little bit of a legend built team. I care a little bit more about contact on legend difficulty. That's why I'm rocking Napoli. I might eventually put in O'Neal Cruz at shortstop over Dansby once I get him parallel 5. But as of right now, not much is going to change other than potentially catcher for me. The rotation, I'm really feeling good with this bunch of guys for now. I might try to sprinkle in guys like Castillo to have some fun and try him for once. Maybe try Paul Blackburn again. I'm just going to be shuffling the rotation a bit. And this is the current bullpen I'm rocking. 3 lefties, 5 righties. I think 3 lefties is more than fine. I'm mixing up the relievers that I'm using. Have some high velo guys, have some slow throwing guys. So I have a lot of options to use as I'm getting later into games. If you guys enjoyed this tier list Tuesday on a Wednesday, make sure you hit that thumbs up and make sure you check out the other tier lists if you want to see me deep dive and discuss more cards individually. And tier list, the individual content drops when you get them. And this week we have another featured program coming, so expect me to add those cards to the overall tier list next week as well. Appreciate you all watching. I'll see your beautiful faces on a video tomorrow. Deuces.